Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're having a lovely day. Today we are going to talk about something I got involved in last weekend and had a really positive experience from, and that is car booting. So this was the first time I'd done proper car booting. I'd done one previous sort of sale before in the village hall, but it wasn't really a car boot. This was a proper car boot in a field. There were hundreds of cars there, so also hundreds of people there, and it was a really positive experience. If you're from a country where car booting isn't really a popular thing to do, all it is people who have things in their house or things that they own that they wish to sell can take these things to the car boot sale, which usually takes place outdoors in a big field, and you park your car up in a space and you may take blankets to put items on or a table to put items on, and you just put your items out, and then people turn up that are interested in buying things at a car boot sale and they will purchase your items. It's generally not a place where you find particularly expensive items. Most people will charge anywhere from a few pence up to a few pounds for the items they're selling, and generally speaking it is second-hand items. You don't go there for new items. Usually there will be some exceptions. I'd been putting off doing a car boot for a while because of COVID. So the first one I did was before I moved into my house. This was back in January 2019, and as I said, it was just a small indoor sale, and doing it right after Christmas probably was a really bad idea because people may not have a lot of money at that time. They were also probably not interested in buying things because they just had Christmas. They may have already bought a few things or been gifted a few things that they wanted, and it was a bad time to go. So I decided the next time I did it would be in the summer, and we'd go to a proper car boot in a field, a really big one, where there'll be much more interest and more people going. And it was our intention to do it last summer, but then we moved house and there was so much going on that we just never got around to it. And then of course this summer came around, this spring came around, and there was all the problem with lockdown, so car boots were not allowed to be run in the UK. And then towards the end of June, our local one, which is only 5 miles away from us, opened up again. But even then I was a little bit skeptical about, sort of handling money, having people touch your things in amongst all the COVID stuff. So I waited even further, a few more months, and honestly it was a really good experience. There were hand sanitizing stations everywhere, temperatures were being checked for everyone selling or buying on their way in, people were wearing face masks, and it was really good. All I needed to make sure I did was that when I was handling money I was regularly sanitizing my hands. I didn't eat when I was there, and I didn't put my hands near my face. And any items that didn't sell that I brought home, I've put straight into the garage, and they have been left there since. It's been way beyond their 72 hours, but they will just stay there until we go and do our next car boot. So all in all, I honestly did feel really safe. And then coming back into the house, obviously the first thing I did was thoroughly wash my hands, put the clothes I was wearing into the wash, and everything was fine. So it got to September and we decided that now was probably going to be our best chance at doing a car boot before we lose the weather and before we lose the daylight, because they do start quite early. For people selling, arrival is from 6 AM, and for people buying, their arrival is from 7 AM. So generally setup is 6 to 7 AM. So it is an early start. And in the UK, just the way our daylight works is that the later you get into the year, or the earlier in the year, darker mornings and darker evenings. This particular car boot does run into November, weather permitting, but it's going to mean dark starts, and we really wanted to just get one done to see if we could pass on the majority of the things we wanted to sell. And then if we want to do another one maybe in October, we might be able to do that with the last few things we have left, but we did really want to get one in September whilst we've got the daylight and the weather, because as soon as we start getting the rain and the cold, it's just going to make it that much more harder with it being an outdoor car boot. Now you may be wondering why I wanted to do a car boot, and one of the reasons is for selling sort of the smaller items that you've got lying around and that you can't really sort of put on things like Facebook Marketplace, or if it's something that's like a funny shape or weight, or something that it might be difficult to sell online. anything like that really. So it's just a good place to sell sort of the odd bits and bobs and the things that people might want to actually have a look at before they purchase them. And as you know, I have been doing so much decluttering that I had been stacking up lots and lots and lots of things around my house that I wanted to sell at a car boot. We filled the car and there was still stuff left in my garage that I didn't get to take with me that is now waiting for the next time we do a car boot. I had a lot to get rid of. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do a car boot. The second is because at the moment, with COVID being the way it's been, a lot of our charity shops are either closed or not accepting donations, because if they have opened, they have just had so many donations because people have been holding onto their things and waiting to go. I've still got all the items that I would like to donate. I put those separately, and then I've sort of decided what I could actually try and sell, because at the moment the places that we use just aren't accepting donations because they've just had so many. So that was another reason to sell. Another one was to make a little bit of money. Now there's another video I want to make later on, which is related to financial minimalism and then leading into investing. I watch quite a lot of content by YouTubers who talk about money and investing, and it's one of the things that I've become really interested in and have been putting into practice myself over this whole journey since I started in January. And one of the things I see in the comments is people saying that they don't have the money in the first place to start investing or to start saving. A lot of the people that make videos on this say that, you know, if you can start with £1,000 or $1,000, or if you can put aside maybe like £100 or $100 every month or whatever it is, then you can start to invest. I see people in the comments saying, but I don't have £1,000 or $1,000 spare that I can just start investing. And I've been looking at ways that people could generate that money from the things they've got sat around in their home that aren't being used. So for example, I've been selling my clothes online on websites like eBay. I've looked at Facebook Marketplace for maybe some sort of larger furniture items that are sat out in our garage that we don't use. And then of course there was car booting. Now I'm not saying that those streams are enough to generate up to £1,000 or $1,000, but some people may have that amount of stuff left lying around their houses, or even if you can make money, even if it's a smaller amount, that could still be used to be put towards something, whether it's an investment or something like that. So I was really interested to see how much money I could make over this year by selling the clothes I decluttered when I did my wardrobe declutter and other things like that. So doing a car boot was just another way for me to see if I could generate the sort of money that other people are saying it is so hard to generate just from selling the things lying around my house. And I think towards the end of the year I'll wrap that idea up and put it into a video and sort of see how much money I made from selling the items that I wasn't using around my house. That was a very long explanation, but that is one of the key things I've been thinking in terms of why am I choosing to sell items. And the final reason why I wanted to do a car boot was just to ensure that the items do go on to another owner, because you don't know, even when you do donate to stores, you are supporting good causes, and it's a very kind and generous thing to do, to donate to secondhand stores, charity shops, things like that. But you don't always know that your items get sold, and they could end up just being chucked into the trash, going to landfill and things like that. Now, I don't know what happens with the items that I've sold at the car boot, but all I know is that someone has spent some money on those items and taken them to give them a second life. I don't know that they'll be responsible with them afterwards, but I do know that at least for the next however long, I've extended that item's life rather than it going straight in the trash. So that's something to consider. I know that those items have gone on to their next home. So a little bit about how I prepared for the car boot. It's very quick, very easy. I think a lot of people will think it's a lot of work because they'll probably leave it to the day before and realise they have a lot to do. So for me, I just have a line of boxes, like cardboard boxes, in my garage, and I have like a price label on them. So I'll have one that says 20p, 50p, a pound, £2. There wasn't really very many items I sold for more than about £2 or £3. And when I've decluttered something, I just take it to my garage. I've got a roll of little stickers that I chop up, you know, the rectangular like postage stickers. I chop them up, put a little price on, stick it on and put it in the right box. That way when I get there, everything's already organised. I can set everything out by price, so if people are looking in a certain price bracket, they can find things quickly, and everything is all set up. I don't do all my pricing the day before because that would just be such a big job. I just do it as I go along and declutter, and then I think when those boxes are starting to get full, then that's the next time I'll do another car boot. If you're looking to make a more significant amount of money from this, and I'm not talking lots and lots, it's not a brilliant way to make money, it's sort of a way to sort of get yourself a little bit, but I would advise you price upwards a little bit, because people will try to barter with you and try to bring the price down. Now for me, that was absolutely fine. If I priced something up at £2 and they wanted to offer me £1.50, I think near enough every single time I accepted it, because for me the priority was letting that item go on to its next home, so it wasn't still cluttering my space, and if I could make a little bit of money out of that, then that was just an added bonus. I wasn't turning down people that were knocking a few pence off and buying it for that price. I was happy to let it go at that price. I personally didn't price up because I didn't want people to be put off in the first place, so I just priced it what I thought it would be worth and that someone would be happy to pay, and if someone tried to knock that down a little bit, that was fine, because I wasn't out to make a lot of money. I was just out to see what I could make, but my priority was to get the stuff out of my possession and onto its next home where someone's going to have much more use out of it than I was. I did record some footage whilst I was there that I will include, but it wasn't an awful lot because it was a very fast-paced and busy morning. Because it's such a big car boot, there were people everywhere, people coming up, having a look at your stuff all the time, asking you questions, talking about pricing with you. You know, you're handing over items, you're taking in cash, you're handing over change. There's a lot going on, so I wasn't able to film an awful lot, but what I did film I will include in this video for you. All in all, it was a really positive experience. The people there were lovely. People from all different walks of life were there, and I had some really lovely conversations. There was one lady in particular who said she'd spent so much, she bought so many things from me, and we were right at the entrance. We were lucky, we just happened to get a good spot. We'd never been before, we didn't know how it worked, and just as we drove in, we were sort of put on the side, which was right by the entrance, so people came straight past us first. And she bought so much that she asked us to put it back in our car until she was ready to go home so she could come and collect it on her way out. And she did that. She came and picked it up and she put it back in her car, and then she came back and she went and she did another lap around. She was so funny and so friendly, and she really made my day, and she stuck in my mind because of that, and she was just lovely. There were so many lovely people. We didn't have any issues. It seemed like a lot of the people that went there to buy things probably do so somewhat regularly, not necessarily every week, but you know, they just knew the system, they knew what was going on. They didn't try to be rude or greedy or anything like that. All in all, it was a really positive experience, and it's made me feel comfortable enough to do it again. I'm quite an introverted person, so I thought maybe speaking to people and sort of having that bartering I'd struggle with, but it was absolutely fine and a really lovely experience. So the amount of money I made, which I'm sure you're probably interested in, I will share with you. Bearing in mind, as I said, I wasn't out to make a lot of money. It wasn't a lot of money. I managed to make £85 after costs, because you have to deduct things like your entrance fee. If you're selling, you are charged a fee at the door to come in and sell, and things like that. So at the end of it, I came out with £85. I will put the US dollars equivalent on the screen. And for me, that was brilliant, because that's £85 I can put towards whatever money I made from selling my clothes and other things that I've been selling throughout this year, to see if I can have sort of a decent sum at the end of the year from selling. And for me, that was brilliant, because compared to when I did the small sale in January, I think I probably only made about £40 from that, so it was double the amount, and it was a great experience. It got me out for a Sunday morning. It was fantastic and I really enjoyed it, and that's just an extra £85 in my pocket, and for some people that, you know, that could be a day's wages for a few hours in the morning. So I would say all in all, it was definitely worth it. We only had one hiccup, and that was my dad offered to take us in his car, because I have a very small car. As I'm sure I've mentioned before, I still drive the very first car I had when I first learnt to drive, which was a small car, because I think when you're a new driver, having a small car that's, you know, economical on fuel, easy to park, all of those things can be helpful. So I've had a small car, and I've been determined not to go out and buy a new car unnecessarily. That's just one of the minimalist things I have decided. I am not interested at all in going out and buying a new car, even though my car is really old, and people question me on why I've not upgraded it and things like that, but my car's fine. But anyway, I digress. So my car's really small. My dad's got a much bigger car, so he offered to take us because we'd fit more in, and we were just getting ready to leave. We actually decided to pack up an hour earlier before it was due to close, and it's a very good thing we did because his car just would not start. We got stuck in this field. We knew we had an hour until they were locking the gates, and we didn't know how to get his car to start because his car is one of those ones where if you've got the key on you, you can just push a button to make it start. His car's something like 6 years old. It's not like it's on its way out or anything, and it just gave up. It just would not start. So we were sat there in the car. There wasn't very much stuff in it because we didn't bring a lot of stuff home. We did very well in terms of selling things that we wanted to. There wasn't very much we brought back with us, but we were sort of sat there in a field and the car just wouldn't move and people around us had started to pack away. Turns out it was just a failure of his battery, which was weird because, you know, the car got us there a few hours earlier in the morning. So we stopped off at a garage on the way home and they told us it's just one of those things that's happened over lockdown. My dad's been working from home. He still is. He's not back at work because he has quite an office-based job, works on a computer, so a lot of it can be done from home. So his car has been just sat on the drive and it's not been used, and it's just sort of, it gave up basically. So we had to go and get a new battery on the way home for his car, and it's all sorted. But that was just a little experience that came with being at the car boot, I suppose. It was nothing to do with the car boot, it was just something that happened. But it's not put him off because he's now, because the most of what we sold was mine, he didn't have very much. He's now sort of gone around the house and found things that he wants to declutter and sell, and now he's quite looking forward to doing another one, so that's a positive. So we'll be able to do another one soon, and that is pretty much it. That's all I want to really talk about in terms of the car boot, but it was a great experience and I'm really glad I did it, and I'll definitely be doing it again. If there's anything here I've not mentioned about car booting, because I found it very hard to find information about it myself, if you've got any questions about car booting and you want me to answer them, just leave them in the comments and I will tell you from my own experience. And that is pretty much it from me this week. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please consider giving it a like and subscribe if you're not already. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart a massive, massive thank you. This week, as I'm filming this, we have just hit over 400 subscribers. That is crazy. That's not something I had even thought would happen anytime soon. A lot of you came from my 30-day minimalist challenge video, and honestly I just really appreciate that you hit that subscribe button and you've decided to stick around, and I really hope you continue to watch and enjoy my content. If you are new here, leave me a comment below, say hi. I do try to respond to all of them, and just thank you so much. That's all from me this week. I hope you have a lovely week and I will see you next time. Take care. Bye.